Hi and welcome to day 2 of week 5 of training cycle 2 of 2021. Today was a day where I was truly tired. I woke up this morning after having slept only 5 hours, and the first thing that happened to me was 25 minutes straight of nosebleeds, bleeding from the nose, which that only happens to me if I get hit in the nose very hard, or if I haven't slept enough. It's always one of the two, and tonight it was certainly that I didn't sleep enough. Now, obviously, I'm not that conditioned to sleeping this little, since school has only been, going for... Actually, is it Tuesday? Holy shit. Yeah. I probably didn't sleep much between Sunday and Monday. I didn't even think about that. I thought it was Monday now. Yeah. Technically, it's actually Wednesday, since I'm recording this in the middle of the night. But, yeah. I'm not showing very good signs of... Cognitive function is down, most definitely, and I believe you will hear that during this entire voiceover. You will notice that I am on 5 hours of sleep, and I don't know how many hours I slept last night, like the night before, but I know it was not many. It was more than 5 though, that I do know. So, I'm fatigued mentally. Physically, it's just a regular day. I would say I was slightly weaker. Probably 1% weaker. I'm actually going to say 1% weaker. I believe that's a fair representative estimate of what I actually was. And you guys will see that later in the workout. Right now you can't quite see it though. So I did the squat again. I matched my lifetime record that I hit yesterday. Matched it again today. After that, I did the back-off work with 102.5, which is, again, 20 kilos behind. But as you guys know, who are a bit better at math, what's going to happen is, since my back-off work is always 20 kilos behind, that back-off work, let's just say I was squatting 1,000 kilos, right? Then my back-off work would be 980, which would be 98%. So... And then if I were to squat 40 kilos, then my back-off work will be 20 kilos, which would be 50%. My point here is, the stronger my squat gets, the closer my back-off work will get to my max squat, and the higher percentage of my 1 rep max those back-off sets will be. So that's one of my secret plans during this training cycle, is the back-off work is going to get slightly more difficult over time, and that's part of how I'm going to build strength. Okay, I failed the bench press today. I actually got it very high up. So I am proud. It wasn't the kind of fail that embarrasses you. I don't like failing, but I'm so tired now so that I won't be able to feel any form of embarrassment from posting this on YouTube, because right now my brain's literally melting and is about to fall out of my ears. And I'm basically brain dead at this moment, so I don't really have any critical thinking skills at all, and that's why I can just comfortably post 2 bench press fails on YouTube and I don't care. So yeah, this is the second fail. I didn't get it as high. I thought I would be stronger, but I wasn't. I actually rested more than 5 minutes for that, but yeah, it didn't help. 95 kilo fails, 2 of them. Of course, I don't need to beat myself up over it, because I'm on very little sleep. Probably could have eaten more, whatever. Whatever excuse I have, what I do know is I actually hit 95 for the first time in my life last week. So it's only been a week since I hit my best bench press ever, which is 95. So I don't think it's that strange that I can't hit it on a pretty bad day. Obviously, we should be aware of failed lifts, missed lifts, and on Bulgarian training, traditionally, people would fail lifts multiple times a day, every day. But this isn't true Bulgarian training. This is just a bastardized version of Bulgarian Light. And the way I run it is, I don't want failed lifts. I'm not the kind of guy who just, cries in a corner if I fail a lift. But I am the kind of guy that I don't want failed lifts, right? If I get like several failed lifts in a week, I'll really start questioning what I'm doing with my program. So that's just me, and I do believe that that's the rational approach. Some people would say, why would you fail any lift? And to that, I would actually say that I get your point, I understand you, because going at 95% has the same physical benefits as going to 100 for the most part, all right? 100 would be slightly more beneficial in my opinion, but that's just an opinion. Oh yeah, by the way, I hit 135 and I was supposed to hit 137.5, so that really annoyed me on the deadlifts here. Another example of me being tired. But yeah, like I was saying with the missed lifts, missing weights isn't good. Most of the time, you're not going to get injured on it. For example, me on the bench press. I could probably load up 105 right now, 10 kilos above my max, without a warm-up, and fail it safely without injuring myself. Now, that would be stupid, but I can say this. I'm very comfortable with failing with my 1 rep max on the bench press currently. The way I do it, the way I perform the lift, and since I'm not that strong, I can't really hurt myself failing a bench press unless I drop it on my throat or face, in which case I would probably die if it lands on my throat and it falls more than half a meter. Now, I don't believe that's going to happen since I don't use the suicide grip and I bench press with a close grip, so I bench press further down in my body. However, what I'm really trying to say here is, for most exercises, I don't really care about failing. I don't believe it's dangerous for you physically. One exercise I will say that it's dangerous to fail is the squat. Now, then the Olympic lifters will chime in and say that it isn't dangerous at all. And you know what? It probably isn't if you're squatting high bar and you're squatting very upright, no forward lean whatsoever, and you can just kind of drop the weight behind you. Now, obviously, I don't really squat in that style. I use a lot of back in my squats, which I don't believe that's a bad thing. I will probably talk about high bar, low bar, arse de grace, parallel, like different kinds of squats in the future. What I'm going to say here, just to keep it short and sweet, right now, there isn't a squat, a universal squat that is the ultimate for every purpose. But I will say that the squat to below parallel or parallel, basically a parallel squat, a parallel back squat, low bar or high bar, is for probably 80 to 90% of the population that wants to get the benefit from the squat. That is, in my opinion, what they should do. Because the reality is, the individual who can do a perfect arse de grace squat all the way down is very rare. Now, some people think that it's an issue of dorsiflexion. Others think it's how flexible your hip extensors are, if you can go arse de grace or not. Which basically, that would be having very flexible glutes and very flexible hamstrings, having very strong hip flexors, and having very strong spinal erectors. These things will and knowing where to put your feet and so on. These things for most people will help you squat arse de grace, but some people just aren't built for it, just can't do it. All right. In my opinion, put it this way. If I was coaching clients, I would put them all on either box squats, that's a very good exercise for beginners to use and advanced lifters alike, although they will use them for different reasons. For the beginner, we want to standardize the height of the squat and teach them to push their hips back and to push their knees out, and to really hit and really use the glutes and use the abductors and use the adductors, but mainly the abductors, because the adductors don't really move the weight. The abductors, which is the inside, like if you do the splits right now, you'll feel something on the inside of your leg, that muscle right there. That muscle actually gets activated strongly on the squat and is a very powerful hip extensor. So a lot of people squat. Now, I know I'm going all over the place with this, but I'm kind of dropping knowledge bombs, so I'm just going to keep just ranting about random shit. Okay, a lot of beginners, myself included, and even to some extent myself now, but not as much, a lot of people want to use their quads more than necessary in a squat and don't really know how to engage the glutes, the abductors, and to some extent the hamstrings into a squatting motion. Basically, for many people learning how to squat for the first time, they're going to bend their knees in all sorts of weird angles, but a common denominator is, or not denominator, but a common trend is that the knees always go very far forward and the hips don't go very far back. And oftentimes, we have the effect to where the lower back is pointing more upwards and the upper back is caving over a bit. So that's a pretty common beginner squat form. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm just going to continue this voiceover because there ain't no way. I don't have energy to redo this. I was talking about squat form, beginners. Yeah, whatever I was trying to say, it's very important that you work your glutes, that you work your hamstrings and your abductors. These muscles are very important. They are more important than the quads in the grand scheme of things, simply because there are more of them and they can together produce more force. They're very helpful in injury prevention. And focusing on these other muscles won't really make your quads weaker. It will just actually give you more potential to build your quads. As, for example, if I were to build my glutes and my abductors, my adductors, my hamstrings massively now, that would give me the potential to load my squat up a bit more and therefore work my quads harder. So, yeah, I do think it's important for any beginner to focus on your glutes, focus on your hamstrings, focus on your abductors. Now, people ask, how do you build your abductors? Well, really the best answer is to squat. Either you want to squat very deep or you want to squat with a wide stance. Now, personally, I choose to squat with a wide stance. I can't do arse to grass squats with good form. I get butt wink, and that's due to me being tight in 3 or 4 different joints on my kinetic chain. So for me, it's not a valid option right now to start doing arse to grass squats. That would be an injury risk with the levers, not the levers. I'm not going to insult my own body and say that I can't do it and say that I have long legs or whatever. I really don't. I'm pretty proportionate. I'm just a regular 5'11", a 181 centimeter guy. Don't have any special legs or anything. If anything, I have shorter legs. Maybe I don't. Whatever. At any rate, I don't have terrible leverages for squatting. I don't feel that way. I've never felt that way. I'm probably just like a regular guy. But what I do know is my ankles are very stiff, and certain muscles in my lower body also very stiff. But I would say that my ankles are actually the biggest reason why I can't squat arse to grass. And yes, I stretch my calves. Yes, I stretch my ankles, but at certain angles, I don't know if it's bone on bone. Most likely it's not, but I get serious pain in the ankle when I hit certain angles. And I do believe that will probably stay with me for, if not the rest of my life, for a couple more years. And the ankle issues that I have are accumulated from Taekwondo. And every single ankle issue, 0 of it has to do with rolling my ankles or anything of that sort. It has to do with kicking. I don't know how many of you have done a roundhouse kick to a heavy bag, but just imagine, for those of you who know what that is, you'll know the feeling of, instead of hitting with the top of the foot or the bottom of the shin, like that area, when you hit with the absolute end of your foot, now you get a massive there's a leverage effect. There's a effect to where your entire leg smashes into that heavy bag, and not your entire leg, but your entire momentum smashes into the heavy bag, and then the end of your foot is the only thing that hits the heavy bag. And then your ankle wants to, is that hyperextend? Is that what it's called? Most likely that's what it's called. Ankle wants to hyperextend, and when you do that with serious force, because a guy like me, I'm not that strong, but I have trained the right roundhouse kick so many times, and I would say that I'm probably somewhere in the range of, oh shit, all the lights went out. That's kind of scary. All right, just continuing the voiceover. I'm somewhere in the range of 85 to 90% of my absolute highest efficiency for that kick. What I mean by that is, with the current level of muscle that I have, I could probably only kick 10% harder on that specific kick with more practice. So I can kick very hard. And when you can kick very hard, then you have a bit, or hit very hard in general, you have a much larger potential to damage your body. Because the fact is that we're all humans, and we all have different genetics, different bodies, different starting points, different training histories and injury histories, but we can all get injured. And for people who say they can't get injured, well, say that when you die. All right. And I know that people have fallen out of 50-story buildings and survived, but that's not you, that's not me. We're all gonna probably die if we jump off 3 stories. So four at least. So yeah, we have to be realistic about these things, and we're not superhuman. It's about training over time so that you can get closer to becoming superhuman. But treating your body as if you are superhuman, that's stupid. By the way, these good mornings today, the weight went up again. I don't believe it's the weight though. I don't believe I found the proper form to the fullest extent. I do believe that the third set felt better than the first 2 sets, but the good mornings yesterday, with only 2.5 kilos less, felt significantly better. So I do believe it's really a technical thing. Since I've only been doing this exercise for not even 2 weeks at this point, it's just a week and a couple days. I haven't gotten used to it, haven't learned the movement yet. But I do believe that the good morning is probably a more difficult exercise to learn than a squat, for example. And the reason has to do with center of gravity. Now, if you look at, where the bar is above my foot, right? Pretty often it drifts past my midfoot. Now, imagine if I was somehow very strong and I had 200 kilos on the bar. What would happen if it drifted, 10 centimeters past my midfoot? Well, what would happen is I would topple over, I would fall forward. Now, what I'm trying to say by this is the heavier you go on the good morning, the more of a center of gravity issue it becomes. You now have to figure out with your leverages, how are you going to move your body down there and lean over without falling over? That's the trick, leaning over without falling over. Now, the solution is pushing your hips back more. And when you do that, you're going to bend at the knee as well. And then the difficulty in the good morning is, how do I standardize the technique? Because I really can't, right? It depends on the weight, depends on how I feel. What I can say is, I'll get good at the exercise and my form will be like, maybe 90% consistent. This is a good set, by the way. This is good morning form. Right? Not perfect, but like this is solid for a beginner to the exercise. This looks good. Yeah. I don't think like that's not perfect. My upper back is kind of caving over a tiny bit, but that's not bad. My point is, we have to be mindful of our center of gravity on the good morning, and unfortunately, the heavier you go, the further you have to push back your hips. Goodbye.